What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Rams Brothers. I'm your host, Dean, and I'm joined, as always, by my brother and the other great host of this show, Nick. And Nick, you're a fan of a 10-win team. You're a fan of a team that was retooling, was rebuilding, was doing everything in the offseason that seemed the opposite of productive to the outside media. But to us, to the true fans, this is business. This is exactly what they meant to do. But first and most importantly, Nick, how are you?
I am so good right now. I mean, I feel like I'm in a parallel universe where Carson Wentz is the one to snap the regular season losing streak against the 49ers as a Rams starting quarterback. Before we get started, obviously like and subscribe, but I want to give Dean his flowers because if you have been watching this show from the beginning of this season, Dean was right about this team and where they should be the entire season long. He said, I think that they should be good enough to sneak into the playoffs. I think they get there and they make some noise. And I was completely pessimistic going off of last season. So shout out to my brother, Dean.
It was a good season. I don't want to accept flowers. It was the kind of season, seriously, though, because why would I be like pounding my chest over like a solid prediction? I made that prediction just based off of some of the sound bites that Sean McVay and Les Snead and everything that was coming out of camp, the way that Aaron Donald was overly optimistic when he got onto the podium, the way that Matthew Stafford had a look in his eye during the Super Bowl from last season, and reports came out in February that Sean and Matthew Stafford were excited and ready to go for the season. And when all of these pieces come together, you actually can't conceptualize it being this good. You can't conceptualize a player like Carson Wentz coming into the building and having a, somewhat of a career rejuvenation in this game and, having 16 rushes and being the Rams' leading rusher and really putting together a solid game plan behind Mike LaFleur, who was calling plays, and Sean McVay was calling the money plays in terms of fourth down and red zone.
What was the stat you sent me and our dad? First rushing quarterback for the Rams to rush over like 11 attempts since.
I'm so glad you brought this up because the stat was 13 rush attempts today, which is the most by a Rams quarterback since 1950. So I went back, I looked at Norm Van Brocklin, I looked at Bob Waterfield in 1950, and I didn't see one of them have 15 rushes in a game in 1950. They were playing the New York Yanks and the Detroit Lions and all these other teams that it's just like in 1950s, a completely different world. I went back and tried to look at the stat. I couldn't find it. So Carson Wentz, to me, is the sole owner of that record. But like the game plan was so fascinating, Nick, because we saw Jordan came out as the game concluded. And this tweet I thought was so interesting. Sean McVay said that with so much altered about their usual operation today, including the quarterback going off of the wristband. So Carson Wentz, they probably went back to a lot of his normal tendencies to make him more comfortable in the pocket, and not wanting to show a ton. So that was another big thing is like if these two teams see each other, Mike LaFleur and Kyle Shanahan and Sean McVay are obviously all in the same close circle. So there was some concern about how this game was going to be called. But offense coordinator Mike LaFleur called the entire game. And Sean McVay was beaming with excitement after the game, talking about the job that Mike LaFleur did. McVay still called all the go decisions on fourth down, maybe not even the red zone calls, but it seems like those two putting their minds together was another part of that offseason prediction. It was like you're bringing in the right offensive coordinator to overhaul the run game, to be able to make your quarterback more comfortable, to be able to better protect him. And in so, you were able to come away with a 10-win season. And you were able to win 5 of 6 games in the division. Overwhelmingly impressive by this front office, by this coaching staff, by this entire roster. So overachieved, check mark off of every single box. Don't care if my prediction was right or not. This is a good football team. And next weekend against the Detroit Lions is going to be the most fun football game that anybody could dream of.
5-1 in the division. You come away beating San Francisco, and it's like, yeah, they rested a bunch of people, but hey, so did we. Like, it's not like we were out there with Stafford and we won that game 21-20. We won it with Carson Wentz. Like, that is a feat. A quarterback that wasn't even in the league. We called him up from his hunting quarters or wherever, like Kingdom Crumb, wherever he was, and he gets on the field and he plays an amazing game. And shout out to LaFleur for having a lot of those designed runs. Yeah. I actually took Carson Wentz anytime touchdown scorer because I know I've seen a lot of Carson Wentz footage, and I felt like they were going to give him an opportunity to run that ball in. And whether it was a busted play or not, he figured he got his way into the end zone, and you end up winning that game 21-20, and you walk away from the season as a whole being able to rest starters at the end of the season because you know you're getting into the playoffs. But even with the starters rested, you have an opportunity to clinch either the 6th or the 7th seed with the win. Yeah. And you clinch the 6th seed with your backups. You're like, it's hard not to be very much just flying high right now on how the Rams did this season. And I feel really great. I know you do too. And I hope all the fans listening also feel the same way, because it's, rah-rah right now, Rams. Puka Nacua broke the records. Like, let's go.
Yeah, I think these are the two pictures that are most emblematic of the final game of the season, but also the whole season holistically, right? Like, because the Rams had a really great game plan for Carson. It was 17 of 24, 163 yards, 2 touchdowns, a pick on a tipped pass that shouldn't have been intercepted.
Not really his fault. He threw it a little too hard. He had a little too much mustard on it, which, but still, I mean, really, like that, it's going to go down as a Wentz interception, but at the end of the day, really.
Yeah. But that's not, ball tipped at the line of scrimmage. He tends to throw the ball a little bit too hard. That's just, he's getting back into the swing of things. It's been almost a full calendar year for him to go back and start a football game. So 17 carries for 56 yards and a touchdown. The rushing touchdown, the 12-yard rushing touchdown up the middle with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter. Really smart game plan by Mike LaFleur to be able to use Carson Wentz not only in the RPO a little bit, but like we mentioned, to use some of those natural instincts to extend plays and pick up conversions easily. So they were 3 of 3 in the red zone. They were 3 of 4 on first down. A lot of credit to Carson Wentz. I thought he made some really great throws. Like, in terms of that 4th and 2 earlier on in the game to Davis Allen, I thought they had an immediate connection in the throw on the go route to Puka Nacua for the touchdown, the long 3rd down conversion to Bryson Hopkins, and then the longest reception of the year for Bryson Hopkins, and then the touchdown pass to Tyler Johnson. It was Carson Wentz's show. And then Puka Nacua, man, gives the touchdown ball to his mom, or the record-breaking football to his mom, sets the single-season rookie receiving record and receptions record. He's an unbelievable player. We had this Puka Nacua, Bill Groman watch going on all season long. He finally broke it. Finally went over 14,073 yards. Puka Nacua on this season ends with 14,086 yards.
The video of McVay too, where he's like, "Good, got it. Get the ball. Get him out. Get him out. Like, get him the hell out of there." Like, he did it. All right, good. So you're able to go into that game obviously wanting to achieve that. You have Fred Ward saying, "We're not going to make it easy. We don't like these guys. We don't want them to break that record." So you go in there into San Francisco, you win the game, and then Puka gets both of the records, and he's done in the 3rd quarter. And then Wentz ends up running it in, getting the go-ahead, and then going for 2 because the kicker is such a problem, getting the 2-point conversion for the win, and you win the game. Like, you could not have scripted it better, truly.
This is what the team is now. Like, I was thinking that too. Like, you couldn't have scripted it any better, 1. But 2, it's like you started the season 3-6. You were scoring 20 points a game. You were driving the ball down the field, not as well as you were in this next 7 games. You have 335 total yards per game versus 403. That's the difference in points per game. 29. You went 7-1 in your last 8 games of the season. It just feels like, schematically, everything started to come together at the right time. Felt like the backup quarterback position, once that was filled, although there are still special teams issues, the offense was truly finally able to do what we were sold that they were going to do in the beginning of the season, which is carry the weight of the defense. But also, like, I need to give a ton of credit to the defense in this game, because the final 4 possessions for the San Francisco 49ers was punt, 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 fumble. Like, I mean, Russ Yeast being the leading tackler and Kobe Turner with the ball in his hands, like forcing fumbles and trying to break Aaron Donald's all-time sack record, and Byron Young showing flashes of Leonard Little from Tennessee. Like, this, it's not only the offense doing their part, it's also Raheem Morris, who's going to eventually get a head coaching job. But I think the full picture, and Jordan's been talking about this whole season being a full circle, it coming full circle all the way from the beginning of training camp. It feels like we finally landed the plane. And now we're going to go into Detroit, which everybody is presumably saying is going to be the most exciting wild card game, maybe in the history of wild card football games.
Yeah, I mean, it does make the end of that Dallas Lions game even a little fishier than it already was, because it felt like the NFL was like, we got to make sure that Stafford goes back to Detroit. But either way, I mean, you really couldn't have scripted it better to have Goff go up against his former team, go up against McVay, who sent him off, and Stafford to finally have a playoff game in Detroit. I mean, it's beautiful. But yeah, I mean, who would have thought in 2024 that Carson Wentz at the end of the day gets a game ball for the Los Angeles Rams? I mean, I'm saying Stenson Ben where? Brett Rip when? Carson Wentz. That's who.
So watching Carson Wentz, tell me if I'm wrong, but I felt like I was watching Baker Mayfield. I felt like I was watching.
You're wrong.
The one thing that I truly felt about
Carson Wentz, a little better, to be honest with you.
Yeah. I mean, well, he's a higher. Well, no, it wasn't a higher draft pick. But I mean, I feel like he showed better flashes of greatness throughout his career. Carson Wentz he's a more athletic player. He can make more things happen with his legs, as we saw in this game. But like Carson Wentz is a father. Like he was hunting for sport. I mean, like he is just like Baker Mayfield. I'm not sure if Baker Mayfield has any kids, but he was fighting for a job. Like you're fighting for your career. And what we saw with the comparables between Baker Mayfield and Carson Wentz in this game was these guys are going to claw until the very end, and they want to put another win on their resume, and they want to put more film out there for the rest of the league so that they can go out and get another starting job. Right. Carson Wentz is a highly competitive person to the point where he was, I don't know, maybe a little in his feelings after that Eagles team won the Super Bowl in 2017. So it's like this is a full circle. Even Carson Wentz, to this point in his career, to come all the way back here to lead the Rams against the 49ers, who haven't beaten them in 9 consecutive regular season games, to be able to do that, I thought was as impressive as a backup quarterback has been in the Rams system with Sean McVay.
I couldn't agree more. Carson Wentz goes 4-0 in his career against San Francisco and does well enough to where he will have a job next season and has shown over the course of his progression that like of the season that he can be a viable backup. Like he's not going to make too much noise in the locker room. I doubt under a different regime that's not a McVay regime that he performs as well as he did today. But still, I mean, I want to bring him back.
So do I.
He may have done too well today, especially with that touchdown pass. I think it was to Tutu. The one that was literally not called a touchdown, where he got him in the back shoulder and he hit the ground shoulder first. But yeah, I mean, like I want him to be a Ram next year. I want him back in horns, and I'm worried, much like a lot of people under McVay. He's too good to stay.
Well, I mean, coming out of our last episode, was that really a concern? Like that is a champagne problem.
Right. It kind of is, especially coming from me, who is like, I think he's more similar to Brett Rippon than
he's more Brett Rippon than he is Baker Mayfield.
Yikes.
Not even though, because what were you supposed to? Nobody expected this from Carson Wentz. Nobody expected this from the Rams. Like that's why this season has been so much fun. Like if I truly feel guilty, then I think that's kind of the point of the podcast was like, let's try to hype up Rams fans. This season is not going to be as terrible as you think it's going to be. They are not going to be tanking for the first overall pick. Like they're going to be decent, and they're going to be good enough to win games later on in the season. And I just think that it's all.
I totally understand a Rams fan, maybe less savvy than you or I, who post Dallas loss, where they lost by like, I don't know. I think it was like 40-ish.
It was it was that game, but it was Green Bay for me. But go ahead. What you were saying,
but it was Dallas. It was post Dallas loss where they lose by like a crap ton, and then they call a play that gets Stafford injured, a Philly special. So he lands on his thumb to make this diving 2-point attempt catch. And you think like, what are we even doing?
Yep.
And then to have a full turnaround in season with the people in the building, that's why I think it's so special. It's because they didn't go out and get anybody else to bring in. They saw the people in the facility and were like, we have what we need right here, and we're not going to go out and get anybody else. And we're going to worry about our future later. And we're going to bring a winning season to this 3-6 team post-bye. And they absolutely did that. And it's just, I mean, post Green Bay game as well, when you start Brett Rippon, who was practice squad hero, who was one of the worst quarterback performances I've ever seen a full game of. And to be where we are now, it is remarkable, and it is an amazing feeling.
It is an amazing feeling. This is what we're looking at in terms of the playoffs. So we have the Detroit Lions. We've locked in the 6th seed. If the Green Bay Packers would have, so they did win the game, but if we would have lost the game, against the San Francisco 49ers, then we would have had to sacrifice the 6th seed. I would have had to have gone to Dallas in the 7th seed. And I think that's obviously the more difficult matchup. But the Detroit Lions are a little bit banged up in this game too. Like coming out of the game that they just played, Sam Laporta banged up with an injury. You're probably not going to see him in the wild card round. It's a knee injury, so swelling has to go down. They'll reevaluate it tomorrow morning. But just an FYI, I wouldn't expect Sam Laporta to be playing in this game. Brian Branch, a little bit banged up. I think he came out of the game for a little bit. Khalif Raymond, Amon-Ra St. Brown left the game for a little bit with a rib injury. So it's definitely going to be a really fun preview. And I think that the Rams are going to be able to bring everything to this game in terms of health, in terms of strategy, in terms of scheme. And you're going head to head against Jared Goff. I think a lot of Rams fans are going to be excited about the opportunity to be able to get to Jared Goff, rattle him a little bit, maybe get a couple of interceptions and walk out of Detroit with a victory. But Nick, it's going to be tough.
I mean, there are going to be a lot of Rams fans that are going to be foaming at the mouth to face Jarrett, because I know a lot of them were like, I can't miss you if you don't leave, as opposed to grateful for what he did to the organization. And I'm more than worried about the special teams more than anything else, because I think that this game has shootout written all over it, and I worry in a shootout that it's going to come down to our kicker to tie the game in the 4th quarter, and Brett Maher, shanks it wide left on a 32-yard attempt to not go into overtime. But still, it's going to be fireworks exciting. The line opened at Rams plus 3.5, and I kind of want to take that before it gets even lower, because
as you should. Yeah, as you should. And that's, kind of the special teams, when you want to try to move away from your concern and you're like, I try to just ignore the inevitable of this could lose us a playoff game. I just want to throw this in here. The Rams have missed a league high 16 combined extra points and field goals this season. 16 extra points and field goals. That's what's one per game. It's tough, man.
I mean, when you start the season signing the guy who lost his touch, lost his mojo, Austin Powers style, taken from him in the past, and missing extra points in Dallas at home, in Tampa. What did you expect? Honestly, what did you expect?
You got to go visit. You got to go visit number 2 in a porta potty or in a bathroom stall and try to get the mojo back. You got to go try to find
do what you can, man.
Mini me's got it, and he's in space and in the big boy spaceship, whatever the hell that is. It's Lucas Havrisik. When he missed those 2 extra points last week, and then we brought back Brett Maher. He missed 6 field goals and 1 point after attempt in 7 games earlier this season. So did they really think bringing him back would be best case scenario?
I can't imagine
he doesn't have to go into Dallas. But
it's just you had fired this man. You bring in his replacement. His replacement sucks. But Maher's resume on the Rams wasn't good enough to bring back the person that you previously fired. It's remarkable that they still have faith in him. I want him off the team now, and I want to literally have tryouts from XFL teams right now, in the night of California. Call them up, because if you're serious about winning this Detroit Lions game, you're not having Brett Maher as your kicker.
I entirely agree. You should have open tryouts. You could have any player that lives in the Los Angeles area, Los Angeles County, really anybody from the entire state of California. If you want to come down to Southern California, go to the Manhattan Beach location where they go and have meetings. Yeah, go to the West Strip and go kick some field goals on the golf course. Let's test it out. Let's get an actual meeting going and try to bring in a player maybe from the XFL. I think there's a guy, Luis, something that played for one of the Texas teams, one of the Houston teams, maybe.
The kid from the St. Louis Battlehawks was drilling them all season. I don't know how he hasn't gotten a call from any team.
I know, it's so strange. I feel like there's more kickers on Instagram than there are available in the league, which the sell of Instagram, right? It's the damages that Instagram can place in your brain. No, I think it's the kicking was special teams. Ethan Evans. Why can't Ethan Evans do it? Ethan Evans would be the first person in line for those tryouts for me. I'd be like, this kid kicks the ball 68 yards off of a tee to kick it off every single time. Let's let him knock through some extra points. Probably kicks it straight through the middle every time.
How about I just typed in old Colts kicker with glasses, Rodrigo Blankenship.
He's terrible.
Like, I just Googled that in a second. Like, I should not be doing the jobs of the Rams front office right now. But seriously, anybody.
He's terrible. No,
He's better than Maher. He
looks like he has your glasses on when he kicks.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, everybody. I know the glasses are not a good look on YouTube because it just reflects the script back at me.
It's not that bad. It's not bad. The Rams ended this game with Michael Hoyt throwing up the LA sign. And now we know that the Rams are officially playoff bound. So, Nick, you said this game up in what, 3.5? The Rams are
plus 3.5, yes.
Rams plus 3.5 with the faces of this team being Aaron Donald. So tell me if you thought that this was going to be correct before the season started. These are the 6 faces of the Rams. And the 3 weight-bearing walls are obvious. But did you expect Ernest Jones, Kyren Williams, and Puka Nacua to be the 3 other faces outside of the 3 weight-bearing walls?
You know what? I might be a little controversial here, but I think Kobe Turner should be on there 100%.
Yeah, I agree.
He should be in that.
You go 3 defender, but then which offensive player do you take off? Do you take off Coop?
Who's in the back? Who's the captain in the very back?
Ernest Jones.
Or I would take off Ernest Jones.
Can't take off Ernest Jones.
For Kobe Turner, I think you can.
Maybe you could. Yeah, but I'm so excited about this.
It doesn't have to be 6. Just make it 7.
Make it 7. It could make it.
There's no mandate that it must be 6.
There's no.
I think Kobe Turner earned his spot on that poster, but I mean, it's
no official mandate. No. Yeah, it's I can't wait for this game. I think every NFL fan throughout the league, Lions haven't been. So when was the last time that the Lions won a playoff game? Has it been since 1993? Because I know that they were in the playoff.
Haven't hosted one since like 94. Yeah.
Yeah, haven't hosted a
playoff game. I was around in this earth. I have not seen the Lions host a playoff game.
Yeah, I'm pretty interested to see their playoff wins. Let's see if we could pull it up real quick.
Yeah.
They haven't won a championship since 1957.
Right.
Unfortunately.
Pre-Super Bowl. This is the first time they won their division because the last time they won, it was NFC Central.
Yeah. So that's insane. So 2016, they lost in the wild card round. They were 9-7. 2014, they lost in the wild card round, which was Matthew Stafford. They were 11-5, one of the better teams they ever were. 2011, they were 10-6. They lost in the wild card round. Dude.
I know. It must be horrible. It's why I'm very sorry for Lions fans because the Rams are the hottest team entering the NFC playoffs.
And if there were,
at least in the wild card spots,
if there were any fans that we would want to be friends with and get along with, it would be Lions fans. But I'm going to continue to read this. 1999. So I read off 3 wild card losses: 2016, 2014, and 2011. 1999, they lost the wild card round. They were 8-8. 1997, they were 9-7. They lost the wild card round. 1995, they were 10-6. They lost the wild card round. 94, 97, lost the wild card round. 93, 10-6, lost the wild card round. They lost the conference championship. I don't know. I don't think that they did. I think in 1991, they lost the conference championship. They were 12-4, and that was probably the last playoff game that they hosted.
Right. So, before I was ever born, before I existed on planet Earth, they have not. And we have seen 2 Super Bowls since I've existed. That is just horrible. I feel very, very bad for them.
I feel terrible.
And also,
Lions, but go ahead. What were you going to say?
Rams Lions was like I think that was your first SoFi game ever, right?
It was. It was.
Yeah, during the Super Bowl season of 2021.
Yeah.
Dean went to the Rams Lions game with me.
And it was a Jalen Ramsey interception. Nick asked his girlfriend, who is now his fiance, to be his girlfriend in the third quarter.
I did do that. But that's not what I'm bringing up. But the Lions fans at that game were the nicest and unfortunately saddest fans I've ever met of an NFL team. And I've always wished them the best because I've always weirdly rooted for Stafford on the Lions way before this Rams trade because they were always like a frisky, fun team.
Yeah. How could you not?
Yeah, it's just a bummer that that's the history. And now they have, my favorite quarterback ever, Jared Goff, going up against my second favorite quarterback ever, Matthew Stafford. And it's just going to be a ridiculous, fun wild card round. And I wish them the best, but I also hope that they lose. I'm sorry.
The Lions, right? You hope the Lions
Yes,
lose.
of course.
Yeah,
Of course I'm rooting for the Rams. I feel like I probably should say that. I am rooting for the Rams. However, if the Rams lose, I will therefore.
It may be the least painful playoff loss in the history of football.
I would say that.
Yeah.
Yes. For us. If they lose, it will be one.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of history if they lose, because it's unfortunately what the Lions do in the wild card round. Hey, we're going to talk again. We got another episode in a couple days. We're going to be previewing the Lions. That's going to be a really fun episode. Maybe we'll do a couple of different new things, try and spice it up a little bit for the final.
And we have Nick's playoff picks.
Yeah,
from Nick's picks. So we have more theme songs coming, because I know they've been hibernating for a little bit. So those will come back.
Let's go. If you guys are enjoying the podcast, I think that you guys are, comment, like, subscribe. Let us know what you're thinking. Feedback is always good, and it increases the reach. We really, really appreciate you guys listening, commenting, being a part of this entire season, being a part of social media. It's just so much fun. We love Rams fans, and we want to just continue to grow the community. So go Rams. Make sure that you guys are liked and subscribed. We love you guys. Go Rams.
One of my favorite things in the world is being able to do this with my brother, my best friend. And I appreciate all you guys who listen and enjoy it. And yeah, smash the like button or subscribe or whatever. But just thanks for coming around and listening to us. Dean, we're going to the playoffs. Should we go to Detroit?
Maybe.
I'm not opposed. I would totally. If it's Saturday, I maybe legitimately maybe.
Let's talk about it. We might have to spend $8,000 for a playoff ticket, considering Detroit is probably going to box us out of Charles Barkley. But that's all right. We'll see. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it throughout the week. Maybe we make a trek up to Detroit. That'll be a hell of a lot of fun. Rams fans, we love you guys. Talk to you guys soon. Go Rams. Peace.